Here's our wisdom story today. Many of you are probably familiar with, of course, Dr. King and his March on Washington. Many of you are probably familiar with the most infamous and probably famous speech of all, which is, "I have a dream." Some of you probably are very familiar with the fact that actually that dream that he spoke of kind of started off a little slow. And what does that mean for us? I want to offer this wisdom, though, because before the speech even was written, it was actually written 12 hours before the actual march. Because of this is actually because Dr. King had had several setbacks. He had already been in prison. He had dealt with further oppressions and obstructions towards his work, and political powers were not interested even in the march alone. While King was in prison, actually many folk had already just kind of forgotten about the speech. They had forgotten about the speech. And he was not the writer and the author of that speech. His colleague and a few others had compiled a few things to start us off with. Starting off with some Western framework of course, that I believe these truths to be self-evident and so on and so forth. And that was great, but that doesn't speak to community. It didn't speak to the dream. So where did the dream come from? I offer this because the dream didn't come out of just simply the prompting of a healthy writing. It didn't come because of the simple fact of everybody was there at the March on Washington and it was beautifully prepped. In the back was a woman who had just sang "How I Got Over." Mahalia Jackson, the gospel singer, stands in the back while King is going through the formalities of the speech. And she yells out constantly where she can actually touch his ear with her voice and say, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream." King is stuck on script. But Mahalia is not interested in the script. Mahalia is interested in how we getting over. And tell us about the dream. The dream is important because the dream is generative, as we will talk about today. She pours into him something where he was too weak to preach. She pours into him something that he didn't see for himself in the moment of sitting in prison. His vision was blurred, his dream was decaying, and in some way, you want me to tell you about the dream? In short, that constant rowling and prepping and moving that she does with her voice, that she sang, just as she also sang before she got up, was the same energy that Martin actually starts the sermon. "I have a dream." And it is the most beautiful riff that moves the American heart. But it's all whispered from the artist who is generating the energy when someone is weak and discouraged. And so I offer that to you today as a wisdom for us to take with us as we think about how we pour into each other in moments of weakness, in moments where we're tired, in moments where things look glim and gloom. We have each other.